welcome to round 1 of the 10-round series in the No Name Racing PC League. This is the inaugural race. We're very excited to see what these drivers can do today in Austria. Right now we're starting qualifying, and we're just waiting to see who the first car on track is. So, is there any big names that you guys are looking out for at the race start, or to see their first laps here in quali?
I'm very excited to see Benalla in that Ferrari. I think he can have a very good performance around here.
Yeah, and I'm definitely looking out for AJ up top there. He's currently at P1 for qualifying here, even though that nobody has done any laps yet. He's still in the pit lane, but he is currently in first place. He looked pretty promising in practice here. And welcome everybody to round 1 of No Name Racing here. Currently, I am joined here with Giants and Tomahawk TV in the commentators booth, and we are going to see all of these no names and No Name Racing, see how they can do in their first race.
Yeah, definitely very exciting for a lot of these drivers here. There's a lot of their first leagues or first little dip in the water of league racing, so I'm sure they're excited, probably a little bit nervous, a little bit anxious to see what they can do out on track today.
Definitely. As I believe Paradox is going to be our first runner to the line, so we can go on board for a lap around Austria with him. As I believe, yes, he's going to get to the line before his teammate, getting the tires nice and warm. As he hooks the car into the last braking zone and gets on the power nice and early, slaps open that DRS.
And here we are. This is the first lap of No Name Racing _PC.
Braking just after the 50-meter board. Takes a little bit of that inside curve. Doesn't want to push it too hard. Definitely does not want to invalidate his lap early on, coming into turn 2 and 3. Very, very hard on the brakes, just about the 100-meter board. As he takes it very cautious, easy on the power, as he slaps open that DRS once again. Down the back straight. It's not a bad lap so far. Just trying to keep it nice, no invalidations. As he has a little bit of a right rear lockup. Now coming into the double left-hander. A little bit tricky. You get a little bit of a wash of understeer, so hopefully these drivers have on very good setups to handle that. Now coming into the final 2 corners, be sure to use as all of the track as you can, because it is very easy to invalidate, but if you hit it right, it feels great. As he comes to the final corner, to the line, he sets a 1:05.8, so definitely not a bad lap time for a banker. These drivers are going to be going much quicker than this.
Currently on provisional pole position, we have Darth with a 1:04.4. He's looking quite promising out front here in the Williams. Going on after his first lap there, you can tell he is out of ERS here. He is just trying to make it to the pits here. And, Mr. Tafter takes pole in the Renault with a 1:04.2 coming through the first corner there. What promising times here for these no-namers.
Yeah, so you can definitely see there's some pretty good lap time flooding in. The low 104s are definitely pretty promising, and we're really only at the beginning of qualifying at this stage, so there definitely going to be faster laps later in the stage, and excited to see what these guys can do. And right now we have Gummy Panda actually starting his flying lap, first flying lap of the session. You can see he got a pretty nice exit off of turn 1, and he's just going to try to make a good run into turn 3 out here. And the brakes nice and hard, trying to flip the apex on the inside, perfectly done. And you want to get as fast an exit as possible out of this turn, activate DRS, make your way to turn 4. And as you can see, we have a yellow flag in sector 2, so hopefully that won't affect his lap. He misses the apex there just slightly, but we'll still try to salvage the lap. Oh, and there we see the yellow flag. Is that an AlphaTauri of Funny Monkey right there? Ooh, impeding his lap. That might be an incident report right there, actually. Looks like Gummy Panda is going to have to just give up on the lap there. Just might want to just go back to the pits or set up anchor. Let's see what he does here. Yeah, so we have multiple yellow flags now in Sector 2 and Sector 3, so... And he continues the lap.
AJ retires.
AJ retires from the session. Not sure what happened to him.
He was definitely a driver I was looking forward to seeing here, but it seems like he has retired as we now have a new driver in qualifying. Not sure who just joined, but we now
crashed.
Oh, AJ crashed, and
I believe he crashed.
oh, and he is
car
out.
stopped on the front straightaway.
Maybe that was the yellow flag we were seeing.
I think so, as that is just not what he wants at all. It's going to be a hard fight from the back.
Very unfortunate for the Alfa Romeo driver of AJ. Hopefully he'll be able to come back into the session stronger than ever for the race, but unfortunately his qualifying was ruined by Codemasters themselves.
11 minutes and 44 seconds remaining in this qualifying session. We're going to see if anybody else can beat Mr. Tafter, as I believe Honey Badger just got third place at a 104.6. This field is quite close. First through fourth is only half a second. So we're going to see if anybody can actually get into the 103s this session.
I definitely think it's possible. These guys definitely have some pace under them, especially the person that I'm watching right now is Mr. Tafter, who's just in the pit lane currently. But I was very impressed by his performance for his first banker lap, and I think he could definitely go a lap faster. Right now we're looking at Moseidon, P18 currently. He's going for his hot lap right now, going around the double left-hander. Ooh, getting unlucky going wide, and that looks like that's his lap done. He might just want to go to the pits and try to put on a new set of rubber and go it again. And he spun as well, right into the wall. You hate to see that. The McLaren pit wall is probably fuming currently. Unfortunately, just going to have to drag the car back to the pits.
Hopefully, he's currently in the middle of the track, and hopefully there's not anybody coming up behind him. It actually does look like there is a Williams coming. Let's see if he yields to him. Oh, it doesn't look like he is.
Oh, it's going to get close.
No, it looks like he's going.
That was a very close
I think
one.
It was okay.
Bullock was probably clenching his butt cheeks there in the driver's seat of Williams, going up to the penultimate turn, but now he seems to be on a hot lap as well. Taking turn one very nicely. Two people are exiting the pits, but he completely ignores them because he has a tunnel vision. And as you can see, he's going up the hill, up to turn 3 right now. Braking hard right past the 100-meter board, trying to clip the apex, clipped it very nicely. Oh, and he got too eager on the power and slid a little bit. If he can continue the lap, that is the real question. Currently, he does not have a lap time, so he might just say screw it and just decide to set one just to put one down, but it's not looking too favorable for him.
Tech Jones beats Mr. Tafter with a 2:04.004, and it's looking like Tech Jones with 9 minutes and 30 seconds remaining. That's going to be a tough time to beat from this crowd. We'll see if anybody can actually beat that, as half the field actually still has to set a lap.
You can see Kulek coming across the line right now. He has not abandoned his lap. He decided to finish his lap. We can see that this guy obviously has some pace. He just got unlucky. Coming out of turn 3, he sets a 105.2, considering his loss of the rear end there out of turn 3. He set a very nice lap. And with that pace, he could definitely go into the 103s and dip down there, like the other drivers later in the session.
I'm not sure if anybody here in the commentator's booth could send me an invite to the session here. That would be very lovely.
I think that is for our wonderful commentator, Tomahawk TV, to do.
Yes, sir.
I'm on it. We have Jimsy on his hot lap right now. Unfortunately, we're having the Revel glitch with him. Hopefully our ears will be salvaged by going into the spectator mode, or into the other second camera. Ooh, you can see him right now. The Renault is right in front of him on his lap as well as Mr. Tafter, it looks like. Ooh, a little bit of blockage there. That could be another incident report coming to the stewards. That might have been the P12 driver of Doobie. Jimsy is still going to try to finish the lap, it looks like. He's coming across the penultimate turn. Yep, he's going to go for the lap. Let's see what he says. And he is going to set a P1 103.9 even with the dirty air. Very impressive lap from Jimsy. And I'm very impressed with the performance he put, even with the dirty air. And here we have the P16 driver of Kessler, 2001. He is on a hot lap in his Alfa Romeo. Braking hard into turn 4, trying to clip the apex. Took it very nicely, touched the curb a little bit on the outside. Coming towards the double left-hander currently. Shifting down to 5th gear as he touches the inside curb very aggressively. Just taps the curb on the exit. He's trying to carry as much speed through this back section of the track. Rubis, it looks like Mbun actually is here, and he's going to be the P20 driver, so I just want to... Yeah, I think his game crashed or something. And then Kessler crosses the line, goes P8 with a 104.7. Very nice lap from him. Here we have Esteprada on a lap as well.
Giants, I think AJ wants you to go ahead and look at chat here.
All right. You guys want to continue?
So, yeah, I mean, looks like Mr. Tafter and Jimsy and the Collateral all are dipping into the 103s now. So we're just going to have to see if anybody can actually beat Mr. Tafter, who was in P1 at one point, and he is now back into that position here. We're going to look at on board right now with, I believe I am on board with Jimsy. I'm not sure what the stream is on right now, as I do not have control. Still trying to get used to this camera work done by F1 2020 Codemasters themselves.
And here we have Jimsy. He is on another hot lap, going around the final fast sector of the track
Or 10th.
right now.
He's improved by 10th. So this lap could put him on pole if he keeps pushing.
Let's see what he can set here. Coming around the penultimate turn currently, going around the final turn of the track. Now he's going to go on a sprint to the line, and let's see what he can set.
I think this might be pole. And it is.
Or 103.8. Very beautiful lap from Jimsy.
Just barely beats out Mr. Tafter, who is currently in the pit lanes with 5 minutes and 30 seconds remaining in qualifying right now. He only beat him by 0.09 seconds, but that is quite a bit if you really look at how fast these drivers are going around this track. One of the shortest tracks on the calendar right now. As Jimsy is just going to crawl it back into the pits, maybe set one more lap, or maybe he's just going to chill out in the pit lane. Maybe he's happy with that time. Maybe wants to save some tires for the race here.
And here we have B+. It looks like he's actually abandoning his hot lap currently. Yeah, I'm going straight to the pits.
So right now, we do not have a whole lot of drivers out on track other than in P3, the Collateral. Was that 103.9 breaking hard into turn, I believe that is 3 there. Nice and easy on the gas, slamming that DRS open with that rear wing. And I believe I might have to leave right now because Codemasters only lets 22 people, and I would be the 23rd. So now that final driver is available, final slot. So whoever needs to join, go ahead and join. I am now out of the session. Apologize for the inconvenience.
And here we have the Collateral coming around the final turn of the track. He's going to be on a little bit of a sprint to the finish line. And what will he set? Oh, 103.7 provisional pole currently. Oh, and then Spinella right after him sets a 103.6. Very beautiful lap from him, the Ferrari driver.
As I believe he elects to do only one. Yeah, he does one lap. As I think he was pushing for a second, but he just got a little loose out of turn 1.
Here we have actually other drivers joining us. Jetty, who is a AlphaTauri driver, but is in the hot seat right now. We'll just have to remember that for later on. It looks like P8 is currently on a hot lap. He looks like he might have gotten a little bit loose coming out of turn 3, so he has most likely botched his lap. And here we have Darth.
220 of S. As we have Prada on a lap as well.
It looks like the Collateral has retired from the session, so it looks like he is either happy with his time or crashed out. But that 103.7 is really going to put him way high up in the standings here. I mean, it's not that big of a deal that he retired, but unfortunately, he can't set a faster lap and can't take pole position in this first round.
Yeah, so let's see what Esteprada can do here at the racing point. We know the pink Mercedes and obviously have some pace on the field, so it would be his first lap of the session with only 2 minutes and 44 seconds left, so let's see what he can do. He might not even be, I don't even think he's going to be able to get another lap after this, so he really has to set a stunner if he wants to be in a good starting place here on the grid.
Jetty's in kind of the same predicament here with only 2 minutes and 30 seconds remaining. Remember, these laps take 1:03, so it's quite a short lap around here when you compare it to Spa, which is one of the longest tracks. So the outlap might not take as long, but you really only get one shot here, so you can't botch it or else you're going to be at the back of the pack. And it looks like Esprada goes P15 with a 105.9. Got a few
Now,
drivers exploring
Jetty.
the dirt.
I believe Jetty now has come to the line for his first lap of the session. He's one of those blistering quick drivers. So, under this, pressure condition where he might only get 2 laps on these tires, let's see where he can put it.
Braking right before the 50, hitting that apex and using up as much track limits as he can without Codemasters getting mad at him, going through turn 2, which really shouldn't be turn 2, and then braking just before the 100 into turn 3, hitting the apex nicely and getting nice and easy on the throttle as he opens up the DRS and using up most of his ERS. He looks like he has a bit of traffic ahead here. That might really affect... Is that a disconnected driver who can't be ghosted? And he hits him off the track, which, I mean, that is a disconnected driver. So I don't think there will really be too
Mr.
much.
Tapter, 103.5.
103.4.
103.4.
Taking pole position. Let's see if Jahedi can actually beat that. Unfortunately, he had traffic. Unfortunately, he had traffic during that. Maybe wing damage from that little bit of a bump. It doesn't look like it as he goes blistering quick.
He's definitely going to go for another lap as well. I believe he is not going to stop. As he says
3-6 for Jesse. Oh, and he abandons.
He abandons. He could go for 2 laps.
He could have gone for another lap. 103.6 puts him P3 with traffic. What an insane lap there from Jahedi. He definitely could have taken pole there if he really had a clean air. But I can't wait to see his race start here, as obviously he has quite the pace, as a lot of drivers are exploring track limits there on the outside of turn 4.
You can see in the second sector right now, there's a little bit of traffic between the Alfa Romeos and the Ferrari. The Ferrari of Honey Badger just left by Kessler, who's going to be starting his final flying lap of the session, and it looks like Honey Badger may not have enough time to reach the line. It looks like Kessler is actually abandoning the lap as well. Honey Badger is going to be racing to the line in the final 9 seconds, trying to set a final lap here.
If our timing sheet is correct, then this qualifying has just ended upon us, as I believe Codemasters got it right this time, as Ed Bund has the checkered flag in P11, so I believe that the time is fully out right now, and we have a few drivers finishing up their laps.
So here we see Spinalla actually. He is on his final hot lap of the qualifying session, trying to set P1. He has a 103.6, which is only 2/10 off of P1 right now, provisional pole of a 103.4. Will Spinalla be able to do it? He's getting
might get that dirty air
from Honey Badger DTF. Will Honey Badger move out of the way, or will he stick on his hot lap and
the Ferrari master plan?
Tell his teammate to go F off, and because we can see that Honey Badger is giving Spinalla very, very bad dirty air currently, and Honey Badger moves to the side finally before the penultimate corner for Spinalla. Spinalla taking a very tight inside line. Oh, and he actually
goes into the pits. Very late call into going to the pits there, crossing over that white line. That is not what you want to see.
I think it was just quite clear that, I mean, he wasn't going to improve on his lap. He is quite angry probably with everything. But P4, not too bad. And by the looks of it, it looks like
I think that's
this is your grid in first place.
Poseidon.
We do still have a few drivers out on the grid.
He's 3/10.
He's 3/10 up.
He can move around.
He might move up 1 place, maybe 2. Let's go ahead and see what this can actually end up being. Going through the second to final corner. Throwing it in there, throwing it into the final corner, sprinting to the line, opening up that DRS.
It is.
It does look like,
but it's invalid.
It does look like it's an invalidated lap.
On that penultimate corner, I think he got a little bit of that outside curb, and the car just whipped in, and he couldn't control it.
Whoa!
The AI are playing bumper cars. I don't even want to know what's going to be said in this Ferrari debrief later.
Yeah, very high tensions between the two Ferrari teammates, between Honey Badger and Spinalla. That dirty air really compromised Spinalla's final hot lap there, which could have been a potential pole.
Sorry to cut you off there a little bit, but especially since Honey Badger was on his in lap, he abandoned his lap.
Oh yeah, that is not going to go well in the Ferrari debrief room, and Ferrari will definitely have some talks between the two drivers, and hopefully a nice PR session as well. So here we have the starting order of the race. So we have Tech Jones in P1 with a 103.4. We have Mr. Tafter. We have Jetty, Spinalla, the Collateral, Jimsy, Kulex, Awesome, Funny Monkey, and then Darth. That's going to be our top 10. Then after that, we have N-Buns, Honey Badger, Kessler, Paradox, B++, Esteprada, Doobie, Poseidon, Gummy Panda, and AJ. And that is going to be our starting order for the race at Austria today.
It actually appears that Nbun has left the session with just 15 seconds remaining in this session. That's going to be very interesting. Let's see what that does, shaking up the grid. AJ in 20th, unfortunately, with no time. See if he can make a great recovery drive, as this is a 50% race here in Austria. Short qualifying is over. Let's get to the race here. So we're going to please wait for Codemasters to get their stuff together. And it is a rainy race.
It is rain, so maybe that's why our times weren't tumbling down. It's a wet race. Maybe the drivers wanted to put on their wet setups, so they did not use their dry ones. So they had a little bit more downforce, a little less top speed, but just a little more grip in those corners.
Yeah, I wonder what the pole sitters were actually using as a setup. As a 103.4 is a very fast lap.
I believe they might be using a little bit higher downforce, because in Austria, you don't have to make too much of an adjustment if it is raining. You may have to just do one or two clicks on your front wing and your rear wing to make sure that you have a high enough downforce, as this track really is, it's pretty forgiving in the game, in the wet, at least from my experience. As we're going on to our formation lap, who are your drivers to look out for, guys?
I mean, obviously, Tech Jones in first place here with that 103.4. He is the fastest man out on the grid here. But you got to look down the grid there. It looks like Jetty is in 20th. Is that correct?
Yes, I believe it is, because he did join the qualifying session late.
Oh, no. Nbun also, he joined back, and he is in 19th, which actually pushes AJ up into 18th. And it looks like it might rain the entire race here.
In P20. He's going to reset the track here. Also, another Renault driver. I cannot tell who it is.
Renault driver off. So
it is very wet out here.
Get a little hectic, as you know, they got to get these tires nice and warm, and there's not going to be a nice dry line or a little bit of a drier line yet until maybe the second lap. These drivers have to be very careful.
Are you guys surprised with the decision to go on the intermediates? Just look at how wet it is out there.
It's really looking like an Austrian monsoon out there, Rubik, and I'm quite surprised that the mechanics, or the team engineers rather, would put these poor drivers on the intermediates, as we can see that Spinella,
as we have a Ferrari off
out of the exit of turn 4, that these drivers can frankly just not even on the track.
I have a feeling there's going to be a mad dash for the pits right after the race start here. Nobody can keep any temperature in their tires, it looks like, and nobody can keep from aquaplaning on these fast corners here at Austria. And this is definitely going to be a nice and fun race to commentate, even as the collateral is going through this section very slowly. It seems like he really can't keep any temperature in his tires here.
I believe not, the AI locks. So this is it. This is their temperature for the race grid as it locks in from here.
It looks like it's going to be raining for this entire race, which means, unfortunately, we will not be seeing any DRS for this entire race. DRS doesn't look like it'll be enabled, but it will be quite the race to watch here from the commentator's booth and at home for you guys sitting on Twitch. So once again, your top 10 are Tech Jones, Mr. Tafter, Spinalla, The Collateral, Jimsy, Kulaks, Awesome, Funny Monkey. Sorry, Tom. I appreciate if you wouldn't pause.
I'm sorry. I never did that.
We got Darth in 9th place and Honey Badger in 10th. We're just seeing Mr. Tafter. Looks like he had a bit of a spin, making his way back up into 2nd place here. And it looks like 2, 3, 4, 5 lights here in Austria. And away we go. What?
Oh, wait.
What's going on?
Oh, there we go.
Oh, and away we go here in Austria. It looks like Spinalla got a better start. He's going around the outside of Mr. Tafter going into T1. It's going to be 3 wide behind him. And it looks like Tech Jones got away nicely. Racing Point off into the runoff area on the side there. But just a mad dash going up through turn 2 and hard onto the brakes. Let's see how everybody adjusts their brakes going into turn 3 here. Looks like everybody is being very, very respectful.
Oh, was it AlphaTauri down the inside of the Racing Point? Oh, and there's a spin in the Williams.
There's a bit of a spin back. He is facing the wrong way. That is definitely very scary. That is going to be Darth. He had an amazing start.
Oh, spin.
He spun out Darth and Doobie had contact. You could see that Doobie actually got his front wing taken out by Darth, and Darth is missing a left end plate there, so that's gonna be very heavy damage for the Williams
And
driver.
I believe AJ as well. AJ as well is missing his left end plate as he got into a little bit of a collision as well, moving up into P12.
This might be something that might help these drivers as they have to pit early. They might go onto wets here, they'll do a little bit of a gamble. I mean, it does look sopping wet out there. I don't know what the drivers are feeling, but it looks like it might be time for wets. But we'll see if anybody actually does go into the pits here. Tech Jones still in first place as that Williams, I believe, goes way wide. Tech Jones setting the fastest lap here at a 1:19.3. And Spinalla is less than a second behind, but once again, there is no DRS, so that is not going to help him down this very long straight. And Darth gets a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. So not only does he spin out on the first lap and go down into 20th place, he now has to deal with that 5-second penalty.
Oh, it is getting very tight into this turn 3 braking zone.
Wow, great racing from these drivers here. Very tight turn 4
and the Alfa
there.
Romeo gets very loose on the exit. And he loses his position to the Ferrari.
Yeah, and it looks like Spinalla is actually making up some ground to Tech Jones here. Less than half a second. Maybe got a little bit squirrely on the exit there. Now he is actually under half a second here, trying to chase down Tech Jones in the McLaren.
Oh, and you can see Spinalla actually got a little bit loose there during the fast sector, trying to keep up with Tech Jones in P1, who has incredible pace currently.
Yeah, Darth down in P19 once again with that penalty, and it looks like Doobie is actually behind him.
Oh, we have N-Bun spinning.
N-Bun spinning out into the infield, going swimming in. And Moseidon is now retired. We have a virtual safety car. Let's see if there's anybody who decides to go into
the spin again.
I'm
trying to see where Moseidon is.
Moseidon looks like he DNF'd actually. Moseidon has DNF'd.
It is only
as he spun out of turn 7, I believe that is.
Yeah, unfortunately, we can't get a replay on that one here. We do not have the technology yet, but now everyone's got to pay attention to their deltas here, not exceed that, try to keep temperature in their very, very unfit, as it seems, intermediates here. And a drive-through penalty for Paradox for speeding under the virtual safety car.
And
Paradox and Funny Monkey.
Yeah, and Funny Monkey as well. They have a drive-through penalty. Looks like they're both.
It is very tight with in between from P11 or from P11 to P14. It is very close between all these drivers.
Oh, you can see the Haas.
I think it goes to the inside with the Alfa Romeo. It does have a little bit of wing damage, so JD said, I'm going to take that. You're not going to have the downforce. And he makes that move work into a very, very tricky overtaking zone, especially in these wet conditions.
Yeah, Spinalla is trying to get that. He was 1.5 seconds behind Tech Jones at the middle of that safety car. He is now at 0.8 seconds, chasing it down as we have... Who is that diving into the pits there?
That looks like Funny Monkey, actually, the AlphaTauri driver, as AJ is continuing to hunt down Jetty on this front straight here.
Let's see what he changed.
And Funny Monkey.
I think he is serving his drive-through.
Yes, they're both... Oh, no,
he is pitting. What is he pitting for? New intermediates.
New inners.
He is changing his wing as well. Looks like he had a bit of wing damage there as he is now exiting his pit box and continuing on with his race here. Very, very chaotic beginning of this race here. And I mean, we still have 32 laps remaining here at Austria. What a start.
As we look at our position change as well, we have Jetty onto a blistering start. He is going to be our biggest winner, up 10 grid slots already, starting from the back, picking his fights nicely as he's all over the back of this Mercedes as well. As we have our biggest loser actually is Coolx, down 10 spots. I believe he just went to the pits for wing damage. As Jetty actually looks down the inside of turn 6, can't get it to stick. As we're going into the final 2 corners, he's going to try to get so close to the rear of this Mercedes as he... Oh my gosh, he's getting very aggressive.
Very racy looking from the Haas and Jetty. He is really trying to get past this McLaren, who is obviously a bit slower than what he is at. No DRS once again to help him out. Let's see if he makes a mad dive. He's looking up the inside, trying to scare the Mercedes a little bit, staying right on his diffuser there. The Mercedes gets a little bit sideways, but it looks like there is a VSC.
Second penalty for Paradox, severe collision.
I wonder what
I wonder
happened.
what happened. I didn't see any driver. I believe we have all of our drivers still on.
Yeah,
Do we have another
The collateral drive-through on. As we look at our penalties,
What
collateral
is
picks up a
going
drive-through.
on?
I believe that delta just got way too high. As he
Wow.
gets another.
I'm
Does
very
the collateral have
confused.
2 drive-throughs? Funny Monkey has a drive-through.
B plus plus just lets AMA Jetty through to P8. It looks like he might have some damage. He lets Jetty through as well through the VSC. It looks like the VSC has ended now. AJ is still in the hunt for Jetty currently in P8. The battle in the midfield currently is very intense between the drivers with a lot of contact going on, a lot of close racing. And we can see actually in P7, the Alfa Romeo driver is right on the gearbox of P6. Awesome. 33-2. Oh, it looks like they both get a little bit squirrely on the exit coming to the front straight. Going to be chasing him down to turn 1. I don't think we're going to see a move happening here just yet. And it looks like they actually all gain a position due to the collateral going to the pit to service drive-through. Oh, and a little bit squirrely off the exit of turn 1 as well. Kessler 2001 is still chasing down Awesomely. Probably feeling the nerves, the pressure of this driver falling right up on his gearbox. Coming into turn 3, inches away from the gearbox of the racing point. The Alfa Romeo gets a little bit squirrely. You can see he's very nervous on the power here. He's trying to get as much grip as possible on the exit to catch
There's a yellow flag in section 3. As I believe it is all clear now, but Kulix has a 5-second for speeding in the lane.
Oh my god. Now he has 10 seconds of penalties.
Very unfortunate for the Williams driver. And now we see there's a battle right now for P5 between P6 and 7. And P8 actually, there's a huge battle with Jetty at the back of the field, or in the back of the pack. Trying to make some moves here to move up in positions. He started in P20 and now he's at P7. Ooh, and Paradox in the middle of the field, and that makes Awesome go a little bit squirrely.
Jetty's gonna capitalize.
Oh, and Awesome doesn't leave the space, cutting Jetty off. Jetty is not going to be happy about that coming up the front straight. And Awesome gets a little bit wide on the exit. Jetty is going to capitalize. He's up into P5 already. 7 laps into the race, he is in a 15th position. How incredible!
What a drive.
AJ right behind him with 10 as well, so this is amazing to see from them.
And there's contact between the Alfa Romeo and the Racing Point. Kessler goes off the track. AJ slips through up into P6. That was probably the easiest overtake of AJ's whole career right there. And now we could see the fight to chase Jetty, and Jetty is going to be chasing Jimsy during this very intense opening 7 laps of Austria. So here we see Spinella is actually only 7/10 off of the leader, Tech Jones. They are both... Oh, that's a freaking gearbox, which is so weird. Spinella is doing his best to close the gap onto Tech Jones, but unfortunately Tech Jones just has the pace where he's pulling away. He's consistently pulling away from Spinella, and Spinella is really just struggling here to close that gap in the dirty air and the rainy conditions of Austria. And here we see...
Tech Jones goes even quicker. As Jimsy goes quicker too, 14.5. So these drivers they're finding that dry line has formed. They're finding their pace on these inner tires. As AJ ducks it into the pits very early, does he have any damage?
Jetty just set the fastest lap of the race of a 1:14.5.
Very, very fast from the AlphaTauri driver sitting in a Haas's seat. He must have snuck into the garage and hotwired the Haas's car. I'm surprised that they don't have better criminal defense systems. But with a great mind like Jetty, I guess he was able to crack the code and start the engine of the Haas. Up into P5, obviously that Ferrari engine has some power behind it. And now he's chasing down Jimsy in P4.
Jimsy seems like he is his artificial teammate at the moment. Or is that his actual teammate? Are they both in Haas's?
No, so Jetty is actually an AlphaTauri driver, but because of him joining the session a little bit late, he was placed in the incorrect seat. So we'll just have to adjust accordingly.
Okay. So it looks like Spinella is actually backed off a little bit from Tech Jones, 1.3 seconds. Tech Jones seems to find a little bit more pace than what Spinella has, and he's still pulling away. Jimsy is only 6/10 as Kulex actually beats Jetty and gets the fastest lap of the race at a 1:14.4 for the Williams. Race has calmed down a little bit. Right now it's hot lap mode as Jetty also just beats that fastest lap of the race of a 1:14.2. No, everybody is just there's is that Kesser? Yeah, he dives into the pits. It's gonna be interesting to see if he changes his wing. Does he have a little bit of wing damage here, or does he just change out his
Yes, and
intermediate?
it does look like he is changing his wing. He must have had some damage from collision before. I can't remember if it was it was him actually that was involved in the incident turn 1 that led to AJ getting multiple positions. So he definitely had a little bit of wing damage there, and he was looking to repair it. I see there's actually a little bit of a battle between P4 to P2. It's Jimsy, Mr. Tafter, and Spinala here, all within about a second and a half of each other, trying to make up the positions into P2. We see Mr. Tafter, a no-line driver, believe it or not, driving under these rainy conditions, trying to adjust his lines and his braking points for this rain without the help and assistance of Codemasters. But he is still sticking behind Spinala very well.
That'll be the yellow flag, sector 3, but I believe it's all clear now. As Darth is retired.
Wow. Let's see. Oh, Eddie said a 113.9. There's still a yellow flag in sector 3. Maybe there's a car out there. Is there going to be a virtual safety car, or is there just going to be a double yellow wave flag in sector 3?
Well, the Alfa Romeo makes a big dive into the final corners. You can't make it stick as he's all over the back of this Red Bull.
He's looking at the inside, going side by side with Collateral, going into turn 1 here. They're both braking there. Gummy Panda gets a 3-second penalty, and it looks like AJ gets the move done on Collateral, and now he can start looking farther up the grid here. He has 8 seconds off of Esteprada in the racing point up ahead.
That was a very beautiful move from AJ into turn 1. Very, very brave from the Alfa Romeo driver, making it stick with very little to no traction in these rainy conditions.
And we now have a yellow flag in turn 1? It looks like that.
Oh, it's the Renault.
The Renault of Doobie. Getting it all wrong in sector 1.
Unfortunate for the Renault driver. He's had a very unfortunate race today. I think we've seen multiple incidents involving him. And we actually see Spinala. Spinala retired from the session. I wonder what happened to him. Did he get a bad exit coming out of a turn? And we have a safety car, a full course safety car. So it's very interesting to see what these drivers choose to put on. Will it just be another intermediate set?
As I believe he retired on track, Mr.
Yeah,
Dart.
he did. I wonder if he lost connection. It's very unfortunate from the Ferrari driver, who was looking very good for a podium or even a win today.
It looks like Honey Badger is going to catch the safety car here, but I don't know if he's going to be able to.
I don't know if he can pass it.
I'm not sure if he can pass it yet.
There's a green light, so that means he can pass it, but I don't think he understands. Oh, and he hits it to the ground.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I think we just had our first commentator's curse here.
Oh, wait, what's he doing? Why is he reversing?
He's reversing.
Whoa!
He doesn't know he could pass
reversing
the
on
safety car.
track?
Pass the safety car.
Pass the safety car
on the lead lap.
Oh my god. Drive-through penalty for Jetty for speeding under the safety car.
Oh, Jetty
16 places up, fastest lap of the race, and he just got a drive-through penalty from Codemasters. As Collateral also gets a 5-second penalty for crossing. 5-second penalty with severe collision. There are penalties all over the place right now.
And the safety car actually looks like it's bugged. It's sitting on the side.
No, it has to wait. I believe Tech Jones has not caught up to the safety car yet.
Oh, gosh.
So everybody is going through as that safety car came out just as he was going into turn 1. So it was very, it had to wait for him to come around the whole lap one more time. And I think that's what kind of threw everybody off.
Yeah, very unfortunate for a Honey Badger who got a little bit confused by the safety car and did not understand that green flashing light actually means that you are indeed allowed to pass a safety car, and that led to 8 seconds of penalties just for that minor collision with the back of the Mercedes.
I mean, that's already comes out of his drive through, or did
he pitted under the safety car.
Oh, he put under the safety car, so he does get new tires.
He still has to do his drive-through, though.
Yeah, I believe that you cannot serve a drive-through under a safety car. So when the lights go out and it goes green again, Jetty will definitely be looking to serve that safety car penalty as soon as possible.
I'm curious to see how long the safety car is going to last, because I really don't know exactly what really happened. But we'll see as the pack is starting to bunch up a little bit behind the safety car here. They're going to do a few laps there. The field is still very separated. It's going to take a few laps for everybody, especially with these wet conditions to actually get caught up to the safety car here, and it's definitely going to be tough for the cars, especially Tech Jones, who has to stay behind that safety car to keep his tires very, very warm with these very, very wet conditions.
Yeah, and a very
He actually ducks it into the pits, as now I believe it is the time to switch your tires.
That's
11
Mr.
laps, 12 laps, as I believe for Tafter, he did not like those tires anymore as he elects to go back on the inner. So I believe we're going to have rain maybe for the rest of this race, if not for a very, very good majority of it.
The rain was forecasted to happen for this entire race, and it looks like that is still consistent with the weather forecast. And are these cars going to be able to unlap themselves?
I don't think so. I believe, as we have a very separated grid, I believe Kulex is not actually allowed to lap himself as there's no green blinking light like Giants has said before. So this is going to be a little, it's going to get a little odd on this restart as Jetty's going to have to dive into the pits for his drive-through, which will put him to the back of the grid. But Kulex, that P16 runner, is going to be, sitting technically P3. So hopefully he can adhere to those blue flags and make sure nothing happens off of that.
TTV Green Cozy has joined.
Not sure
as Spinalla has just left the session.
Has left after DNFing.
Very unfortunate for the Ferrari driver, who was in a wonderful position for the race. You definitely hate to see what happened to him. Not necessarily sure, but I saw in the Discord for our server that something happened between him and a Williams driver. So I'm not sure what transpired there.
This is looking like it's going to be a very, very long safety car. The pack is still not bunched up yet. If you look at the track map there are still people going around the track, and only half the grid really is behind the safety car. It looks like we're going to have 2, maybe 3 more laps of this. As Kulex is now, looks like he is able to unlap himself, so that makes a little bit... Oh, what? Looks like he is not. He just got a 5-second
ignored the yellow flag. So I believe
that
it was not time for him to pass.
That is very odd. Jimsy is an AI. I believe he just has paused right now. Yep, that's exactly what just happened. This is a very odd situation. Whoa! Very odd situation for Kulex. Oh, he just changed into an AI.
I believe he said, you know what, AI? If you want to lap the safety car, you lap him. I'm going to wait and see what this AI does because he does not want to pick up another penalty.
This is very odd.
Very interesting first 14 opening laps of this race. A lot has happened. A lot of DNFs. We've already had 3 DNFs since the opening lap. And here we just see all the drivers just bunching up behind the safety car, trying to get some heat into their tires before the restart, which should be very soon.
Only 8 laps left, 4 laps left until the halfway point of this 50% race. And once again, the cars are now starting to bunch up a little bit. They are going through Sector 2 right now, which is the same sector finally. Safety car is in this lap. So we're going to see this race start here soon. Kulex in P16 is not allowed to unlap himself. Jimsy is going to back off a little bit from the safety car here. Wait for the safety car line to actually be passed. Jetty is looking very racy on the outside of Kulex.
Jetty might have to duck it into the pits on this lap, depending on when the safety car came out to when he got a drive-through. Since he got it under the safety car, I believe he'll have to come in this or next lap or face disqualification.
I believe it is next lap.
I believe it is next lap. And away we go here at Austria. Jimsy gets an amazing start. Kulex gets a little bit sideways. Luckily, Jimsy now has that little bit of cushion behind him. And away we... Oh! What's he breaking?
As he lets Kulex back.
Kulex is disconnected, I believe.
No, I believe he's just ghosted because of the blue flags.
Maybe, but...
We do have ghosting on.
All right. What an interesting start from Kulex here. And Jimsy and Jahedi are now going through turn 3 here. I believe Jahedi is going to have to go into the pits this... we have
B++.
B++ losing a part of his wing. I really hope he doesn't join. Oh, that is very flamboyant of a rejoin there. Luckily, he did not collect anybody on his way back onto the track, but B++ is now going to go down the grid here. He's going to have to pit. We'll see AJ in 4th place, Mr. Tafter in 3rd, and your top 2 are Jimsy and Jahedi right now. Unfortunately, Jetty looks like he's going to have to dive into the pits and serve his drive-through.
Fortunate enough, he did do that pit stop for the new tires. So hopefully, you know, these tires can last him a lot longer in this race. As he actually stays out, I believe it has to be next lap, surely then.
Surely next lap, he's going to have to serve this drive-through, or else
I believe he just wants to build up a gap.
Race control is not going to be very happy with this. He is now 18 places up from his original. What a drive from Jahedi so far, and it looks like he's going to have to do it all again. Unfortunately, due to this drive-through right after the safety car, he is definitely trying to build as big of a gap as he can, as he actually sets a purple sector right up the rear end of Jimmy right here. I don't know if he's going to try to pass him here. Yellow flag in sector 1. I think we have the Paradox, the Mercedes of Paradox spinning around, rejoining the track. It looks like the Renault of Doobie is going around the outside of him.
Yeah, but I mean, that's a very easy move due to Paradox's unfortunate spin there.
Yeah, the Mercedes are not having a very good race right here, as they are now in 15th and 17th. And it looks like it's reverse grid right now, as the Haas's are leading and the Mercedes are at the back of the pack here. Very interesting to see from these drivers.
Paradox actually pulls to the side of the track. He's not retiring. He must have lost the car again in P17. I wonder if his tires are at the point where he feels he must pit to switch to another set of inters, or if he's...
Jetty got a 5-second penalty!
Seconds.
Oh, very unfortunate for the Haas driver. He's had a very unlucky race so far.
He is now at 8 seconds of penalties, but I believe that after this drive-through here, he is going to come out in maybe P6. There goes P6. There goes P7. And it looks like P8 is actually going... Oh, is he still in 6?
Yes, he is.
Not a bad rejoin for after a drive-through. He does have 8 seconds of penalties, though. Keep in mind, top 3 of Jinsey, Mr. Tafter, and AJ, they have 0 penalties to worry about. So they just have to go off their raw pace.
That is Paradox again.
Paradox once again. He is now able to go into the pits. Hopefully no more yellow flags from Paradox here, but hopefully he can maybe make a bit of a recovery drive and maybe not get last place in this race here. Top 3 of Jimsy, Mr. Taftier, and AJ. AJ is actually less than a second behind. He is now over a second behind Mr. Tafter, but Tech Jones is also at 0.7. So this is a very, very close fight here with Kulex in the middle still. Paradox has retired from the session. Nbun has left the session. So right now we actually have 4 retirements, only 16 remaining in this session here.
It looks like Jimsy now in P4 is actually elected to go into the pits. He will be changing his tires, but no wing change on lap 18 of this race.
Those tires are 17 laps old. That was his first pit stop. Quite a good stint from Jimsy there as he was in the race. Yellow flag is actually in sector 1. I'm not sure what exactly happened there. It was Paradox once again? No, that's just an AI. What is going on?
It may have been Kulex, the Williams driver, who is P16 currently.
And no, it is Paradox. He's going very, very slowly, it appears, and that's causing the yellow flags. And both, he is now out of this. Okay, so I guess his AI parked it on the side, and his car has now disappeared. He is gone. No safety car, no anything. Back to regular green flag racing here in Austria.
And you can see that the top 3 are actually very bunched up together. Tech Jones is chasing down AJ, who only has a 3/10 gap to AJ. But unfortunately for Tech Jones, he has a 5-second penalty, so as long as AJ can manage that gap, he will be the provisional P2 driver right now. And AJ is only 1.2 seconds off Mr. Tafter as well. The Renault in P1, who sees his teammate having a very unfortunate race currently in P10 himself. The Renault are both in the points currently, so that's not too bad for the constructors, considering that Mr. Tafter is provisional P1 currently. I see most of the field is actually pretty spread out. I would say the closest are actually the front of the pack, and maybe P6 and P7 when you see Jimmy in the collateral actually. Falling behind Awesome in the racing point, there's a little bit of a 3-car train here. Jimsy's following closely behind to the collateral, the Red Bull driver, trying to make it stick around these low traction zone corners.
It's really not a move. Nbun is back in the session. I wonder if he's just spectating here, but yeah, it's really something that is very hard in these wet conditions is if you go off that dry line, you really don't have any grip, as you barely have any grip on the dry line, as you see as Tech Jones gets a little bit squirrely out of there. but it's really something that's very difficult to actually make do on the outside of these wet conditions.
This has definitely been a very big curveball to these drivers, but I'm sure they were probably done hundreds of hot laps in these Austria time trial, but unfortunately it was only in the dry. I see drivers like maybe AJ and Mr. Taft are doing some wet laps, as you can see it reflected in their race results, but a lot of these drivers probably did not anticipate the rain, unfortunately for them.
Jimsy looks like he just made an overtake from P7 into P6 behind there, and he is going to try to fight for that awesome spot for P5 in the Racing Point up ahead. Half the drivers actually on the field right now do have some sort of penalty, so looks like at the moment right now, a lot of as Kulex is on the mediums?
I believe the rain has stopped falling.
The rain has stopped. Kulex was taking a bit of a gamble going onto the mediums very, very early here. He is actually down into last place. The rain has stopped, and I just interrupted myself there. And it looks like the driver is starting to make a brand new line. We are halfway through this race, and it's going to be very interesting to see. There's actually a yellow flag in Sector 2 as there is a car stopped. He is now starting to go again, so it looks like that has been cleared, but it has stopped raining. The grip is going to come back eventually, but Kulex right now is very
too early.
It looks like
he is struggling to find any sort of grip.
And coming into the final sector, we actually have Jimsy in P6 right on the gearbox of the Racing Point of Awesome. He might be going for a move here if Awesome goes a little bit wide coming out the exit of the final corner. Looks like they're very close to each other here. Awesome is actually blinking, which means that he has under 10% of ERS, and we can see that Jimsy has very, very, very high ERS right now.
I believe he is blinking because of the wet weather.
Oh, yes, I am losing my knowledge of F1 2020.
But it doesn't matter, because he does have the ERS.
Because he does have, and actually he gets pushed into the grass a little bit. Awesome, giving Jimsy very little room. Just on, and a little bit of contact.
He gives him the Verstappen.
Oh,
he gets loose on the exit, and collateral up the middle of both of them.
Oh, and Jimsy looks angry. He wants to get the position back from the collateral, and he actually dives on the inside on the Red Bull, making it stick through the inside line. Does he get the position? Oh, and the collateral goes a little bit wide, and Jimsy does keep the P5 position. We can see that Awesome he isn't that very happy about that either. He squeezes the driver of Jimsy off the track a little bit there. I wonder if we're going to be seeing that reflected in the incident reports later today, because we do need to leave a car's width. But very good overtaking from Jimsy.
So unfortunately what happened with Awesome is that he actually squeezed him off the track, dived down the inside of turn 3 there, cut the corner, got a 3-second penalty. Oh, there's a car off on the side. That's Kulex, I believe, with the mediums. Once again, way too early. But going back to what I was saying, Enbun, 10-second time penalty for exceeding track limits. Obviously not his first. But sorry, I keep interrupting myself. There's so much going on the track right now. But Awesome did cut the track, got himself another 3-second time penalty.
He's on softs.
Jetty is indeed on softs. The track is starting to dry out as there are a lot of drivers actually on the grid right now. Jetty's really going to have to try and nurse this car. Looks like it might still be just a tad early for slicks. But
it does look like there is a bit of spray still. Sorry for turning off the Rubik's.
No worry. There is still a bit of a spray here. 2 drivers currently on the slicks. One is Kulex, one is Jetty. But it seems like he is falling very far off the pace. Jetty really did actually have to take a bit of a gamble. He's in P8 with a lot of pace here. So if he does something that the other drivers aren't, that's really going to make him be able to capitalize on the other drivers, especially with something as drastic as going on the softs with 13 laps remaining in this race. Definitely going to dry out here. As you can actually see, the dry line is starting to become drier, and the puddles on the side of the track are starting to become less pronounced. Jetty's still trying to get a little bit of temperature into his tires, and a lot of the drivers now are very, very separated. As Honey Badger dives on the inside, there's a bit of contact there, getting a little bit sideways going into turn 1 there. Honey Badger can't make the move, does not get the move done. Awesome is up into P6. He's either up in the P6 or continues keeping that P6 position, but it looks like that they are now very separated. Was there a driver there way off?
I'm not sure. I didn't see the incident myself. Sure. It looks like Honey Badger had a very unfortunate collision there. The Ferraris are not having a good day here in Austria, similar to the Ferraris in F1 this year in 2020 with the little collision at the beginning of the race there. Ferrari is not having a good day, and I'm sure Binotto will be having a nice conversation with the two drivers at the end of the day today.
It
Very
appears that
well said. Binotto would not be happy with this master plan.
there is still a lot of spray coming off those intermediates, so most of the drivers are actually staying out. Jahedi is actually really falling behind the Honey Badger ahead with these softs. Tech Jones diving down the inside of AJ. This is for second place. Hits the apex there, and he actually pushes AJ just a slight bit wide. Zero contact. Nice move done by Tech Jones there up into second place.
And he gave him the good old Verstappen on Leclerc as well.
Looks like turn 3 is a very popular place for these drivers to give their opponents a little bit of a nudge off the track and say, hey, this is my line, I'm going to take the position. They're very aggressive here. They want the positions, they want the podiums, they want the points for their team.
Seems awesome. In P8 is the third driver onto slicks. He is elected for the mediums.
Oh, and he taps the wall coming out of the pit exit. Did that give him wing damage?
Oh, Mr. Tafter goes wide.
The leader goes wide and gives Tech Jones back the lead. Good to see you back in the lead here, Tech Jones, as you did have pole position. Obviously, the pace is there. Mr. Tafter did actually B++, 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Going back to what I was saying, though, Mr. Tafter lost 2 positions to that. He is going to try to get that position back from AJ. Everybody 1st through 7th are intermediates. Jahedi looks like he is actually making up a bit of time. The funny monkey now looks like that is that little awkward bit of period between. I memean, all the drivers on slicks are still struggling to get that temperature in their tires, get a little bit more grip here.
As B++ hits the wall on his pit exit as well.
There's a very intense battle. Sorry to cut you off, but between P1 and P2, Tech Jones and AJ are going side by side right now into P4.
Tech Jones going around the outside here of turn 4 there. A bit of contact, a little bit of wheel banging. Didn't hurt anybody as long as no front wing comes off. That gives Tech Jones the inside that will actually... AJ tries to get the switchback, cannot make it done. That's as close as racing as it can be. AJ might have gotten a little bit of dirty air there, goes a little bit wide into these final couple of corners. AJ goes off into the wall, and there goes his wing.
Wow. What an unfortunate series of events for that Alfa Romeo driver. He's going to have to go immediately into the pit. And Mr. Tafter is actually pitting as well.
Mr. Tafter's pitting. And Tech Jones. I believe it's time.
It's time for the slicks, boys. Top 3 are into the pits now.
As AJ won't lose out too much on this battle now, as they both come in as well. So just a few seconds in the pits, changing that wing.
Going to be very
interesting. Tech Jones is held for 5 seconds. So I believe that's going to put Mr. Tafter into the lead of this race.
Tafter on softs, Tech Jones on softs. Let's see what AJ is on softs as well, changing his wing.
It's a shootout.
It's a soft shootout.
Mr. Tafter loses it on the pit exit. He gets wing damage. He's losing a left end plate. He's going to have to pit again.
Oh, so unfortunate to see. There is just a mad dash for the pits at this point. The track, it's definitely dried. Excuse me, it's definitely dried out here.
And we see the P2 driver is actually still using the intermediates, the collateral. He's going to start struggling here as the track continues to dry, but we see Mr. Tafter got a little bit swirly coming out of the pit lane, so it might still be the intermediates right now that is the best choice for the track, maybe for another lap or two.
Still a little bit of spray coming up from the collateral, but most drivers are now going on to the softs. Looks like that is the ultimate strategy right now.
Oh, we see the Tech Jones P3 driver is actually right on the gearbox of P2, who's on the wet tires, the intermediates that are very, very slow around this track compared to the softs currently.
You can definitely see it's time for slicks now, as he is actually going around the outside. Tech Jones makes it up into second position. And it does look like it is definitely time for slicks, since there are only 2 drivers on the intermediates, as AJ gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings, presumably track limits. It is definitely time for slicks now. Those intermediates are definitely getting too hot, starting to grain, and the grip is just now here for the softs. Honey Badger does get a 5-second penalty for speeding the pit lane. He was flying into there, unfortunately. And it now looks like the entire grid is now on the softs. Jahedi, who took the bit of a gamble going on the softs early, doesn't look like it has paid off. He now has to... He actually gets the fastest lap of the race of a 1 minute 10.6. track is definitely not as good as it was in qualifying, as this is now 2 seconds off the pace. But Jetty is actually up into P5 as he passed a lot of drivers who were in the pits. He is now on 4-lap-old softs, and it's looking like he is going to try to make a little bit more time going up the field.
Yeah, this has been a very, very eventful race so far with between the rain, the incidents, the safety cars, just the strategy, the pure strategy and race knowledge that these drivers need to have to know when their car will be rewarded for switching to these slick tires off the intermediates, which we've been sticking on for about 26 laps here. And we can see that the drivers who made the right call to pit, right in the correct lap, like drivers like Mr. Tafter, see a very, very, very big advantage. But unfortunately for Mr. Tafter, he does seem like he's missing a left end plate, but he continues to stick out, and you must feel that he's not being affected adversely by the wing damage. But we can see that the McLaren of Tech Jones is actually passing very quickly onto Mr. Tafter, so the wing damage might continue to impact his lap times compared to the very, very fast McLaren driver prowling behind him.
I wonder when DRS is going to be enabled. The lap times are down to a 1:08.9. Those are quite fast laps. Track is starting to dry out, and we are just waiting for that DRS enabled spot, the DRS enabled flag here. As Osmi gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings, once again, presumably on track limits. So right now, your top three are Mr. Tafter, Tech Jones, and AJ. AJ currently has the fastest lap of the race. He is flying out there. Troll for Days has left the session. I really don't remember him really in this session. Maybe he was just a random, but Tech Jones is starting to gain. DRS is now enabled as Tech Jones gets a 1:08.7. I'm not entirely sure when it was enabled, but I can see Tech Jones is using it. Yellow flag in Sector 2 and Sector 3.
Jetty retires from the session. I wonder what
Jetty DNF from the session, and it looks like there's going to be a safety car.
Oh, right as P2 was making a move onto P1 into turn 3, the safety car was deployed, so he had to back off from the move.
AJ is going to be loving this.
Very lucky for the Renault driver, as the McLaren and P2 was not able to finish the move. AJ, the Alfa Romeo driver, is going to be very happy as well, as now he's able to close the gap to the front of the field as he was lagging a little bit behind, 5 seconds behind P2 and P1. And I'm very, very interested to see what happened with that Haas driver, or, well, the Alfa Tauri driver in disguise of AMA Jetty.
Oh, as Tech Jones actually doesn't even have to make an overtake on Mr. Tafter. All he has to do is just stay within those 3 seconds, as he did pick up a track limits penalty earlier in the race, I believe, as if we were still raining.
We can see a scenario 7 moment here as number 1. We're in the round 1, and we are in Austria.
And it's a McLaren. There's a lot of
reminiscent of
pieces.
Scenario 7 here in Austria.
The puzzle pieces are coming together.
I wonder how many laps we're going to have under safety car here.
I believe we should be in around lap 32, and we're just going to have a 3 to 4 lap shootout, maybe. It might be a 3-lap shootout, as I know it can stay out.
Oh, and AJ actually went into the pits, and another Haas driver as well, Jimsy. They both look like they're pitting onto the sauce here.
Oh, they did have enough time to be clear, so they're not going to be losing any positions. So that's a very smart call from the pit team and the driver of AJ and Jimsy both to come in, because they hold position. They're going to be right back behind them under the safety car. So I believe they're going to benefit from this greatly. That's a great call.
And I'm actually getting a little radio message in my ear, actually. It turns out that Jetty got a snap oversteer out of turn 7 and lost the car, and that's what caused his DNF. Very unfortunate for the AlphaTauri driver with the Haas logo sticked over his car, as he was having a very promising race coming back from P20, a very Sergio Perez-esque drive from him.
It appears that Jetty accidentally took Nikita Mazepin's car as he got a little bit of snap oversteer into the wall there.
Very reminiscent of our week 1 race in Bahrain in the real world.
We're seeing a lot of similarities here, actually, between the real world and this virtual world that we are racing in right now.
Something that's going to be very, very interesting is, once again, Tech Jones does not have any penalties here. AJ, Mr. Tafter does. Jimsy does not. So you have penalty no, penalty no, penalty no, penalty no for the top 8. So we're going to see. Actually, Awesome is on the mediums. He has elected to go onto the mediums. They're 5 laps old. We're actually going to see whenever the safety car comes in, presumably this lap, we're going to see if those fresh tires of AJ and Jimsy can fire up, and if AJ can get a nice gap to Tech Jones, or if Tech Jones can actually get the overtake to Mr. Tafter. Wow, this is going to be a very, very interesting safety car.
And also, we actually got a little bit squirrely off the exit there. I was a little bit scared he was going to tap the wall and maybe damage his front wing, but he did a very
There's
nice
a
job.
lot of lap traffic. Oh my goodness.
Oh,
And sorry to cut you off there, but this is an absolute. Right when that green flag goes, there's going to be many ghosted cars in between AJ and Tech Jones. I believe there's 4 cars.
Oh my God.
As this is now 3 cars, as this is not what AJ wanted when he went into pit.
Very unfortunate for the Alfa Romeo driver we all thought that he had a very good strategy pull, and unfortunately got unlucky under the safety car, being stuck between 3 back markers, which will be huge for dirty air and pace even around the track.
Wait and see if the safety car is called in yet. Does not look like it. It might be a late call, but it does not look like the safety car is going to be in this lap. So it appears that we are going to have one more lap under the safety car here, which
we're going
means we are going to have a 4-lap shootout, as Tom said it best.
This is going to be very exciting as it is full dry. And there's wing damage. Oh my goodness. I see many end plates as Coolx. Very unsafe pit entry. As I believe our stewards are going to be looking at that one, as that was on the limit.
And he got the 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane on top of it.
Extra damage. The stewards are going to be having definitely a look at that incident right there.
Just to
as he cuts over that pit lane. Lewis Hamilton in Germany, 2019 style.
Definitely what I was just about to say. Took the words right out of my mouth.
We see more connections to the real world of F1.
Very unfortunate race for the Williams drivers today, as we see Coolx is getting slapped with 19 seconds of penalties, which is very devastating for the end result of this race. And then we also see his teammate Darth, who DNF'd earlier in this race. Very, very poor not performance necessarily, but result from these Williams drivers who were just generally unlucky today.
If we take a look at the penalties from P7 to P13, they all have some sort of penalty, and they're actually there's 1 3-second, and the rest are all higher.
Safety
car goes in this lap.
So we're going to see this very, very exciting safety car 4-lap shootout here at Austria. Mr. Tafter and Tech Jones on 5-lap old stops, with AJ and Jimsy on 1-lap old stops. But you gotta remember, Mr. Tafter and AJ with those penalties there, I believe they are 3-second penalties. So we're gonna have to see what kind of gap they can actually get going. And hopefully there's not another safety car and we don't end under safety car here. Let's see when Mr. Tafter decides to go here, holding the apex, and he decides to go. Here we go, away for the 4-lap shootout. Mr. Tafter gets an amazing go as Tech Jones follows him. AJ behind in 3rd place as Jimmy actually gets a little bit of a run on him. He's looking on the outside there. I don't know if he's going to make it stick or not. He does not make it stick. AJ holds the inside there, but he now has 2 seconds to make up to Tech Jones ahead. Tech Jones just has to stay within 3 seconds there to get 1st place. See if he can do it here. Oh, I'm losing my voice a little bit. I need a little bit of water.
What an amazing
This is getting exciting.
From P1 and P2, able to keep their positions, not face much contention from AJ and P3, who's actually slowly creeping up behind in these final 3 laps.
Tech Jones, 0.3, 0.2, moving through that. I need my corner numbers. That is turn 6, it appears like. And then going through turn 7 here. We're going to see 0.1 seconds behind. He is going to get a DRS. He's going to get DRS. Looking up the inside for the penultimate corner. Does not make it go. I believe he's definitely going to be aware that
No, DRS is actually not going to be enabled until the last lap. Because I think it stays closed for 3 laps after a safety car.
Tech Jones looking at the inside of turn 1, making it stick. Remember, Mr. Tafter does have wing damage, as he is actually going to have AJ coming up the inside there. They both do have penalties, so this really, really matters. AJ is going to try to hunt down Tech Jones here as they dive into turn 3. Holding that
AJ gets a little bit squirrely off the exit as well. Sorry to cut you off.
And Jimsy goes a little deep as well.
Tech Jones is almost a second clear in 1st place. AJ less than less than a second. He is closing the gap. He really wants that first place. He's going to have to make a move very, very soon here if he really wants to pull that little bit of gap to Tech Jones in the McLaren up in first place. Jimsy is actually 0.3 seconds behind of P3 there in the Renault. Mr. Tafter once again still does have that little bit of wing damage, I believe. It looks like Jimsy is going to look around the outside of the Renault here, and he does not make the move done, does not get the job done around the final corner here. DRS is now enabled for the final 2 laps here. AJ is within a second here. Kinzer gets another 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings on track limits. And it looks like Jimsy is going to get some DRS here on Mr. Tafter. And AJ as well does get a little bit of DRS here. 0.3 seconds. Jimsy going down the inside here, taking P3 before the turn actually happens. And it looks like AJ is going to try and get Tech Jones here. He has DRS once again. Tech Jones doing everything he can to not let AJ pass. Once again, he does have that 3-second buffer here. 0.3 seconds, 0.2 to AJ behind. He is getting very, very racy behind. AJ, I believe, only has 9% ERS, though. So once he gets in front of Tech Jones, who is also low on ERS here, they're going to have to try to run away here as we are going on to our final lap of the race. Tech Jones in first place, AJ not far behind in second place, Jimsy in third, who is quite far behind. We're going to see if AJ can make any moves, as he only has 3% ERS to try to make any moves on Tech Jones up ahead. 0.5 seconds behind with the penalty there. Anything can happen. 0.3. Is he going to make a move? He doesn't. He does. He tries to make a little bit of a switchback, goes up the inside. As Tech Jones actually does get a little bit of a better exit because AJ had that little bit of compromise as he made the very, very late decision. Mr. Tafter is now into P4 with a little bit of penalties there. Jimsy in third place with no penalties. So it looks like Jimsy is in provisional second place. AJ's trying to get that first place on track. He ran a little bit of contact. And it looks like there's a bit of wing damage for AJ here. We're going to see if he can actually hold on to that second place. Jimsy, 0.2, 0.1, trying to look up the inside, going around the outside a little bit, and he cannot make the move done. He's looking up the inside there. Is he going to make anything done? No, he tucks behind. Tech Jones is your winner here at Austria, taking the checkered flag with Jimsy in second place, AJ in third, Mr. Tafter in fourth, Honey Badger fifth, Honey Badger in sixth as the collateral actually gets ahead of him. Honey Badger in seventh with Funny Monkey in the sixth, and Kenzer in eighth. Who is that? Ninth place is Kenzer. I'm just going to wait a little bit, wait for these drivers to actually go across the line, as there's a lot of penalties that need to be accounted for.
Wow, what an amazing last 3 laps there. And amazing commentary by you, Rubix, to keep up with all the action in the final 3 laps. That was very intense, and I'm very excited to see the rest of the season if this is what the races are going to turn out to be. Because that was some amazing driving by AJ and everyone at the front of the field, just trying to fight for that podium position and the win. I was very impressed by all 3 of the drivers in the podium positions today, and it was an incredible last 3 laps.
Well-deserved podium by these 3 lads up here. Definitely hoping to see a little bit of Paradox actually leaves the session here. He did not have a very nice race for him, but here is our final here is our final results here with Tech Jones in first place, Jimsy in second place, AJ in third, who is our driver of the day with the fastest lap, Mr. Tafter in fourth place for Renault with a 3-second time penalty on his lap there. The collateral for Red Bull, who started fourth, ended fifth with a best lap time of a 1:06. Funny Monkey in sixth place, Honey Badger in seventh, Esteprada in 8th place, Kezer in 9th, Awesomey in 10th, and that rounds out your points finishes. B++ in 11th, Gummy Panda in 12th, N-Bun 13th, and DB in 14th, Kulaks in 15th. Unfortunate DNF from Jaddy in 16th, Paradox in 7th, Spinala in 18th, Darth in 19th, and finishing out for McLaren in 20th, Moseidon. what a race we had here in Austria. McLaren, definitely nice finish there. Nice constructor championship points there. And it's going to be some nice racing, it appears, for these next 9 races. Thoughts
What
on
a
it?
season opener. That's all I have to say, Rubix. Sorry for cutting you off for a second there, but wow, if this was race number 1, I'm very excited for this 10 calendar series.
I mean,
Or 10
season
race
1,
series.
race 1 for No Name Racing. Congratulations to all 20 drivers for making it through. Anything you want to say here, Giants?
Yeah, I'd like to say there was amazing racing going on all around the track, and I'd actually like to interview the top 3 drivers and to see what their thoughts on certain parts of the race were.
Do we have an interviewer voice channel?
Yeah, I'm just gonna have them jump into VC1 and then I'll drag them.
All right, sounds good. Looks like we're gonna go into VC1 here. We're gonna see if any drivers would like to have any words with us on the broadcast here.
All right, so here we have the drivers joining up. Right now, we're going to start from the bottom of the podium finishers to the top. So we have AJ. AJ, how are you feeling in those final 3 laps as you were battling for that podium position with 2 very good drivers on your gearbox, just fighting to try to survive in the last 3 laps, and you still did manage to pull out that P3? What was your thought process? How are you feeling when you saw these drivers swarming you, essentially?
Honestly, it was, first of all, great race, everybody. Friggin' Jimsy and friggin' Tech Jones, they really gave me a run for my money. But that penalty definitely played a really huge part in my decision making in the last few laps. I just wanted to pass P1 and try to get P2 at least. Try to get a 3-second gap between one of them. It was impossible. It was impossible. I was using literally all my ERS and rich mix, and I couldn't pass them. So, great race. P18 to P3 for me. So, great first race for me.
Yeah, some seriously incredible driving between you and Tech Jones, and then Jimsy actually coming in as well. And it was very intense between the top 3 drivers. I'd actually like to move it over to Tech Jones. How did you feel with AJ right on your gearbox here, fighting you in the last final laps, trying to take your P1 position on track? How did you feel trying to defend off of him? What were you thinking? Did you know that you were going to hold out in the final laps, or what were you thinking? Do you have any doubt in your mind?
Oh, dude, I thought he was going to pass me right away. I had a race with him yesterday in China, and he just blew past the whole field. So I was like, "Oh, I'm ready. I'm ready for this to happen right now. Take my first place."
Yeah, we saw some very great defending there from you, and you did a very good job to hold him behind, as well as Jimsy actually came in the final laps here and kind of cemented himself in a P2 position. What were you thinking as you were trying to almost have a scenario 7 moment with AJ's penalty, trying to dive up into the podium positions?
Right. You of course always trying to win on track. So those last 2 laps, I was really pushing to see if I could pass AJ. But there at that final lap, it seemed that was pretty gone. So I just took it home. Knew I was gonna get second place anyways because of his penalty. But yeah, I tried to get past, couldn't. But regardless, it was really good driving from the top 3.
Yeah, really, really amazing driving from the top 3 and everyone in the field. Is there anything that you, Rubix, or Tomahawk want to ask any of the drivers here?
I just wanted to ask Tech Jones here real quick. Great job, by the way, on actually not getting any penalties. What was your main strategy here whenever it turned from wet race to dry race, and you were actually able to hold that P1 position?
My decision making was largely who's my teammate, my engineer, Poseidon. Yeah, he was really telling me like which who was going to softs, who was going to mediums, and who was getting time from it. So he coached me through the whole process. I was just focused on running the best race I could.
Well, congratulations. I believe you had pole position as well. Am I correct?
Yeah. Surprised too.
Wow. Some great points for you for this first lap here. Mr. Tafter, great race from you. You were up in the front there for a little while there. What was one of the main things that you feel like you could have improved for this race?
Thanks, man. For one, not dinging my wing off of the wall as I exited the pits on my softs. that kind of screwed me.
Yeah, that was one thing that we really noticed, and it really hurt you whenever the safety car let loose and you ended up just outside of the podium there. Very unfortunate.
Yeah, I was surprised I kept the guys behind as long as I did, but yeah, I knew at their pace is a little futile with the wing damage. I was trying to damage mitigation at that point.
Well, you definitely have some good pace out there. Tom, you have any questions?
No, I think everything that I was gonna ask already got asked, and yeah, it was a good race from everybody. It was very enjoyable to watch.
All right. Well, if you don't have any questions, I'm going to continue asking some questions down the field here. Honey Badger, I'm going to come to you. What was your thought process coming through this? You were in the Ferrari. No, yes, you were in the Ferrari. And unfortunately, the Ferrari Masters Bland did not really go to plan here. What was your strategy here and what went wrong?
Strategy was just take it easy, kind of be clean. I know I was going to be midfield for my pace. Didn't want to get into too many incidents, and of course, good old Cody's makes the safety car real fun. And so I decided to pull a Vettel and ram up the back of it because it said to stay behind it. So I kind of threw a huge loop into the race for me. And then just kind of had to come back from that. I was watching everybody kind of had to play a little bit of a different strategy, and just kind of got some weird penalties along the way. I think I only had about three extra seconds, but one was a pit lane speed, and so just tried to keep out of the guy's way while still battling for some good points.
Very unfortunate for you. And let's see, who haven't I asked yet? B++, and you were in the Mercedes, I believe, correct?
That is correct, yes.
So the race did not go to plan for the Mercedes today, and I apologize for asking the same question for everybody, but it's hard to keep track. What exactly went wrong?
I mean, me personally, I thought I was having a pretty good race. I think I was up at 6 at one point before the first safety car, and then at the restart, just spun and kind of race went downhill from there. I mean, I started gathering time, but at least it was a messy race after that first safety car restart.
So unfortunate for you there. Giants, you got any more questions for anybody, or can I continue?
No, I don't think I have any more questions. I mean, again, I just want to reiterate what an amazing race from all you drivers. A lot of interesting little tidbits here and there from all these drivers on the field. They've all had their moments. They've all had some amazing moments on track today. And yeah, if you want to continue down the field, you're more than welcome to.
All right, I'm actually going to move on to Awesomey here. Awesomey, you did have a quite good race, actually, for comparatively speaking to your qualifying pace there and your racing point. Quite consistent. We didn't really have a whole lot of things to actually commentate about you. You just had a nice, solid race there. A bit of penalties along the way, but just walk me through what your preparation was for this race.
Absolutely none. I never prepare for races. I just eat. I don't really. But I am processing about I got a penalty at a restart. I crashed into the pit wall, like into the actual wall of the pits, because I got like bumped, like lightly tapped by Funny Monkey, and I got the penalty for that instead of him.
Just a bit of Codemasters doing what they do best.
Yes.
All right. Well, good point. I believe you did have good points finish. Were you P10?
P10, which is 1 point. Yeah.
1 point. That's better than no points. So
You're right.
Hey, good job for your first race with zero preparation. Maybe prepare a little bit next time, and maybe you could finish a little bit higher up on the grid here.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm gonna move to Jetty now. What an incredible start that you had. You actually were up 18 positions, as you did actually join a little bit late into qualifying here. What exactly happened? I heard that there was a little bit of snap oversteer. Was that really all that happened, or was there something with your setup that you might want to change next time?
No, just oversteer.
Just a little bit of a Mazda spin. You might have jumped into the wrong Haas car there.
Car decided to grip when it didn't want to grip before, and we ended up upside down on a wall.
Very unfortunate for you. That really shook up the race for the final part of it, which actually made everything much, much more interesting as we had a final 4-lap shootout, and it was very nice to watch and see the great defending and the Renault up ahead and with some wing damage and have a nice mix-up with Tech Jones ultimately taking out the lead. Pooh Monkey, what was your name in in the race?
Funny Monkey.
Funny Monkey. Okay. Where did you finish again? I do not have the standings here. You just got to refresh my memory here.
P6.
Sorry?
P6.
P6. All right. What a nice finish there for you. You got some good points there. Run me through some of your preparation.
I didn't have a whole lot of preparation, to be honest, but the race was very up and down for me. I had a couple drive-through penalties under the VSC, and then I had the collision under the safety car, which I have to admit that was my mistake. It was wet and I couldn't slow down before I hit him, and I had wing damage from that. But to come P6 from a P9 qualifying, I think is satisfying to me. So hopefully I do better next time.
Hey, P6 with no preparation. Once again, that's quite good. And we're going to move up. Who was Plyfo Keeps?
It was K Hesser, but I changed it into the game now.
Is K Hesser? Okay,
Yeah.
Alfa Romeo.
Alfa Romeo.
Okay, I actually called you Kesser on the broadcast, so I apologize for that.
You're
one.
good.
I'm just trying to keep track of what all actually happened in that race. It's hard. Walk me through anything that really you struggled with during the race or any incidents that happened.
I know there was one moment where I don't remember who spun coming out of turn 1, and I tapped him and I went off into the grass. Broke my wing, came in, and then pretty much just kept doing stupid off-track penalties the rest of the race. So
All right, well,
do it.
definitely an interesting race here. I believe that is everybody interviewed here. Thank you, everybody, for an amazing first race here. Who that Kulex?
Sorry, so one more time. I believe that you cut out a little bit there.
Oh, I apologize. Is that Kulex that just joined?
Yeah, Kulex is in this VC, yep.
All right, Kulex. Do you mind if I interview you just real quick here?
I think
Cool.
Kulex,
All right.
he might have gotten his mic stuck in the cockpit of his car. He might have forgotten to take it out. So
maybe, but all right. I believe that's going to be the end of this. Thank you guys for joining me into the commentary booth, and I'm sorry for taking over a lot here, but I'm just trying to. I told you that this would happen.
No,
but
it was some beautiful commentating, Rubens.
Beautiful commentary.
Thanks,
I've never heard anything better.
Thank you, guys. So I just want to thank Giants and Tom Hawk for actually making this league possible. No Name Racing has been in the works for a very long time, and I decided to join into it and make myself a part of it 1 hour before the first race starts. So thank you once again to Giants and Tom Hawk. Please send your thanks to them for this amazing No Name Racing here. And I will see you guys. When is the next race here?
Oh, yeah, so it'll just be next Thursday at 8 p.m. EST again, and it will be at the Hungaroring.
All right. All right, viewers. I will see you then. Take care.